Here's your host, Brian Fisher.
Hi, and welcome back to Focal Point AFR Talk. Brian Fisher is my name. This is the second hour of Focal Point on American Family Radio Talk Network, the most feared radio talk network in the land. I'm glad to have you in the conversation today aboard the USS Focal Point. Our commander is on the bridge. The scriptures serve as our map or our nautical charts for the seagoing among us. The Holy Spirit, our navigator, and I serve as your loyal, cheerful, and humble first mate. Great to have you on board with us. Let's jump into some sound bites, Rob, if we can. Limber up that index finger there. There's been a lot of talk in this 47% deal that Mitt Romney has bandied about. And again, as I mentioned in the first hour, we got to realize if Mitt Romney's hosing off the 47%, well, he's hosing off all conservatives as well. I mean, Mitt Romney's telling us there in that meeting, his strategy, he's not appealing to the 47%. He doesn't think he has a message for them. He doesn't have a message for us because he thinks we're in the bank. Our votes are in the bank. Where are we going to go? Who else are we going to vote for? So he's just aiming his entire campaign at about 10 or 12% of the American population. Again, because this is what these high-priced consultants are telling them, you got to go for the people in the middle. I think that's a flawed strategy. I think a conservative message appeals to 100% of the American people. And Mitt Romney's out there, to his credit, he's out there trying to say, look, my campaign is really about 100% of the Americans. But and what both Governor Romney and Paul Ryan have been saying is, look, we're not about redistributing wealth. We are about creating wealth. That's what we're all about. Now, it's interesting. Let's go, if we can, Rob, let's jump down and grab clips 5 and 6. Maybe we can start there. This is David Korn. He is a journalist with Mother Jones, a left-wing political website. And he was the one that released this Mitt Romney video where he talked about the 47% to the American public. Remember, this was gotten to him by Jimmy Carter IV, the unemployed grandson of Jimmy Carter, and apparently he's got a job out of this deal. And apparently Florida law was broken. We talked about this yesterday, but in many states in the union, if you're going to record something, you have to have the permission of both parties. And a lot of times when I'm doing doing an interview with a reporter and they want to tape it, they will ask my permission. And, of course, I'm glad to have them do it. But a lot of states, you got to have permission from both parties. They both have to know. Some states, it's only one. Only one person has to know. But there is no state where you can eavesdrop. There's no state where you can tape two people without their awareness or without their knowledge, unless it's a court-ordered, wiretap from a judge, because there's some kind of skullduggery going on. So a law was probably broken in Florida. But David Korn talking about this video coming into his hands, and it's interesting. They fancy themselves as objective and neutral, just journalists. But listen to, he says, the question that he was asking themselves and his team when this video came to their attention. This is the first of two clips from David Korn talking here with Howard Kurtz. Let's listen.
Carter looked at this clip that came out and said, let's find this guy. Mm-hmm. And he started digging, and he made contact with the source, and then without knowing even what the source had, he then put me in touch with him. And then, you've done this, Howie. I spent, 2 weeks or so going back and forth with him about what do you have, how can we use it, and finally convincing him to let me see the whole tape and giving me access to it.
So David Korn says, look, one of the main questions that we had is how can we use it? Again, saying, look, we've got a political agenda here, and we're going to try to see how we can make this videotape, whatever's in it, how we can use it for our political purposes, which is to reelect Barack Obama. Here is clip number 2. Now, Howard Kurtz asks him, do you think that there's an ideological motive behind Jimmy Carter IV bringing this video forward? Remember, Romney has had critical things to say about Jimmy Carter. And so is there an ideological aspect to this? Was this any sort of payback? And here's what David Korn said.
I don't think so. I mean, my guess is, I haven't asked, is that he's left of center. But what I'm told is that this was not a hit job on infiltration.
Of course
he didn't
not.
go there looking to get Romney. He just thought it would be kind of interesting what this, he was in a room with a presidential candidate.
You know, and the fact that he's the son of one of the most liberal presidents in American history had nothing to do, no political motivation here whatsoever. Now, Mitt Romney's been out there, I think, sending a good message on the campaign trail and bouncing back. I mean, a lot of attention now on his economic message. And this is clip 7, Rob. And here's Mitt Romney, I think, saying a very, very important point. You know, for the Obama administration, they measure success by how many people become dependent on government services. They actually brag about the number of people that are on food stamps. And I was looking at a story here about what's happened to the whole food stamp budget under Barack Obama compared to George Bush. Now, we've talked about the fact that food stamp participation jumped significantly under Bush. That's bad. That's not good for George. It's not good. That's not a conservative value, trying to get more people addicted to government handouts. But the point that this article makes, Pajama Media's this morning, Kim Ziegfeld, is that the number of people that are now on food stamps under Obama compared to Bush have gone up by 46%. In other words, when Bush was president, there were 32 million users. In 2009, here we are, 2012, 47 million. Almost 50% more people are using food stamps now under Obama than were under Bush. And the other point that Ziegfeld makes is that the increase in the food stamp budget under George Bush was about $2.5 billion a year. But in the first 2 years of the Obama administration, food stamp costs, the budget for food stamps, what the government's spending on food stamps, has gone up by $20 billion a year, 10 times faster. So what the Obama administration is spending on food stamps is going up at a rate that is 10 times faster than spending went up under George Bush. And they're out there advertising for people to get on food stamps. They're gutting the work requirement, so even able-bodied people now are on food stamps. So they're measuring compassion by how many people are addicted. I mean, Pat Buchanan referred to him as like the drug dealer. You know, Barack Obama is a welfare drug dealer there on the corner offering to mainline people that come for their weekly hit. And here's what Mitt Romney said, clip 7. Let's listen.
Look, we measure compassion, not just how we care for one another, important as that is. We measure compassion not just by how many people are able to get unemployment benefits because they're out of work and how many people are on food stamps. We measure compassion by how many people can get off of unemployment, how many people can get a good job, how many people can get off of food stamps. That's compassion, having an economy so strong it lifts all Americans.
So that's, and Mitt Romney is exactly right. What true compassion is, if you care about the American people, you care about human dignity, you care about self-respect, you care about people being able to fulfill the mission that God has for their lives. And trust me, the mission that God has for people's lives is not for them to be sitting in the basement in their parents' house looking up at a poster of Barack Obama. That is not God's mission for anybody. He's given them gifts, he's given them abilities, and he wants them to be used in a productive way. Compassion is doing whatever it takes to unleash the creativity and the ingenuity of the American people, reducing government regulations, getting government out of the way of the economy, reducing the tax burden. Even Sweden's dropping their corporate tax rate to 22%, and Barack Obama wants to increase it to 39.5%. We already have the highest tax rate, corporate tax rate in the world. Compassion is lowering the corporate tax rate so those corporations can provide more jobs, better jobs at higher wages. Focal Point, AFR Talk, back in 2.